Well, hi there, everyone. Welcome back to the Potato Presents. Today, we are lucky enough to be graced with the presence of the beautiful Ms. Bouquet, who is going to be here to
Hello.
talk to us about her experience in the drag world and, just kind of all things drag, really. So, Bouquet, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Normally, when I'm talking to my potatoes, it's at dinner when I'm crying and not.
um, Sorry about that, my phone.
You're all
Uh,
good.
So I mean, let's just start off. Why don't you just tell us about yourself? What makes you the most interesting queen we're going to hear about
The most interesting queen. Well, that's a great question. I think every queen has a unique brand or personality, and I just try to infuse mine with the love and joy that people give me. I enjoy making people happy and smile, and I think anytime anyone can put themselves out there, whether it's a potato or a beautiful Barbie doll, you're making the world a better place just by expressing yourself. And that's kind of my message with everything that I do.
That's fabulous. I love that. And it's
Thank
true.
you.
It's so true. We all could use a little bit more love and affection in the world and positivity, I think. It's
Absolutely.
too easy to be cynical. So, I love that. I love that. So,
Thank you.
my understanding is that this is, you're just kind of new into the drag scene. So tell me how did that all come about?
It's interesting. I kind of dabbled in it off and on for the last 10 years. And it started in a very unique way in that I think I had dressed up before, even as like a kid. As a
Right.
child, one year I went as Catwoman, and that was pretty radical because most boys my age wanted to be Batman. But I think when it kind of took off, maybe as drag, one time for Halloween in college, I went to a party as Hannah Montana, and
Love
this
it.
was at the time, of course, of the Disney Channel, and that show was very popular. And people seem to really like it. And so Hannah Montana would pop up at different parties and different things like that. And then I had a really good friend of mine that was getting ready to move out of state. And for his going away party, his biggest request was, would you please perform as Hannah Montana for amateur night at the local drag club? And so I made up this whole thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. All of this. And I surprised him and I showed up to amateur night and I performed as Hannah Montana. And it was honestly one of the best nights of my whole life. I never thought I'd be, brave enough to get on a stage in front of people in drag and perform in that type of environment. And it was a hit. Sam, who was my friend, loved it. It felt like I felt like a rock star because all these people were like cheering, and I was like, oh, this could be something.
Yeah.
And so from there on out, I had done it a few more times. I recently changed my name from Hannah Montana to Bouquet more formally. And it's funny, in this pandemic, the last year, I feel like I've done drag more consistently than I have in the past. And that's just, I've been grateful to have an opportunity to be a part of this Linda Loves Virtual Bingo series that's been running the last year. And so it's really just helped me get an opportunity to perform, practice more, try new things. And I'm very just grateful to be jumping in the scene whenever anybody will have me.
Well, seeing that you brought up the bingo thing, let's just take a minute to plug it. So tell us
Yeah.
about when it is and how people can watch and all of that.
Sure. So every Saturday, there's a wonderful, amazing drag queen, Linda Simpson. She is from New York City. She came up, I believe, like in the 80s when drag was very underground with RuPaul and Lady Bunny, and she was a part of this whole culture. She traditionally hosts bingo in New York City, physically, I believe, every Sunday. But when the pandemic happened and New York shut down, they could no longer host the physical games. And
Right.
so it went online virtual. and it's been a huge success. I didn't even know who Linda was till a friend of mine from New York said, "Hey, I'm playing this game every Saturday. You should come join." And so I did, and it was a lot of fun. And they would have different kind of costume nights for Halloween or Christmas. And so for Halloween, I dressed up as Linda in drag. That's who
Oh,
I
that's
went as. And
awesome.
I had a bingo background and I was trying to emulate her whole setup. And I think my enthusiasm prompted her to say, "Hey, do you want to join me as a spokesmodel sometime?" And so that's what led to that. And it's a fabulous time, so much fun. They have special guests from time to time through actors in New York and different people in the drag community. And I think the best thing about it is it's been such a community, people all over the world, not just New York, but Texas, California, even across the country are joining and playing this game and building this online community. And it's been fabulous, particularly in a time where we've been social distance. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity. And if people are still looking for things to do, Saturday nights, 7 p.m. Central, Linda Loves Bingo. You can find more information at Linda Loves Bingo on Instagram.
Okay, and we
Yeah.
will include all of that. For those of you watching, that's down in the caption. That's down in the we'll have the links and everything that you need.
Thank
And you
you.
know what would be cool, and just something to think about, and maybe we can pursue this. But the potato reads kind of is really about reading. We read to people. The potato reads to people, and we have an adult book series and we have a children's book series. We read, and we have the drag queens. I can't remember the name of the organizations. The drag queens read
The story
children.
time.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
We should talk, and maybe we
Okay.
can do something where we have some drag queens come on, starting with you, and start reading some chapters. We do a whole series.
That'd
Maybe
be
maybe
amazing.
we do a book, or maybe we do, I don't know. We should talk about this. I think this could be something good.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
might have brushed up on my phonics before we do it, but
You'll be
I
fine.
hope there's a lot of pictures in the book.
You'll be fine. I kind of as an aside, there's a couple of books that I've started recording, and then I discovered that I can't really. I get like halfway through, and it's like they've got German words in them and stuff, and I am just mutilating these words. And so I've kind of said, okay, when I'm deciding what I'm going to read, I have to make sure that there's nothing in there that's like in another language. Even
Right.
doing poetry sometimes, doing Native American poetry, I can't. I'm in finding the way to pronounce Native American words is tough, and so until I can really figure out how to pronounce them, I'm just not even going to do them. So anyway,
Be
so don't
safe
feel
out
bad.
there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so tell me, you kind of touched on it a little bit. First, let me say that drag suits you. You're just gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like I kind of know. I kind of am kind of friends with an up and comer in a way. So I'm excited about that. But what do you really love about performing drag? I mean, what excites you about it?
Sure. I think for me, I've always loved dressing up and entertaining people. And I went to school for theater. And, I'm not Channing Tatum. I was the big kid. I was brown. I was, I mean, I hate to say it, but pretty obviously gay. And so, it's hard to find roles and a place to belong, particularly we're talking 10 plus years ago when I
Right.
was in school. And thankfully now, the arts industries have come a long way in film, television, music, and that diversity is a lot more celebrated and at the forefront. But back then, it was hard to find a creative lane or a place to fit in. And
Right.
even in terms of my own personal confidence, I didn't feel confident on stage as myself so much as I did putting on all of this and creating this character. And so for me, I feel most brave, most beautiful, most entertaining and charming when I'm in this. And I think part of it is because I've always, as a person, gravitated towards strong female characters or the underdog, or those have been my heroes. And
Right.
so to get to feel like that myself when I put on this armor, if you will.
Yeah.
I love feeling powerful. And for me, that's what it does. Like guys, some guys like football. I like I like this.
Yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I love I've never heard anyone describe it as that. But we talked a little bit before we started recording here that even me as a potato, it's certainly not as glamorous as you, but it's a form of drag, right? I've always been super I mean, I don't hate the way I look, but I always find the way I look to be distracting in a way. And so when I found out I could be a potato, it was like, yeah, I got brave. I never really thought about powerful, but yeah.
There's a
Um,
power in it. And who
yeah,
doesn't love potatoes too,
exactly.
right?
Well, it'd be better if I was a potato with glitter, but in real life, I'm not so much about the glitter. So, but yeah, I mean, back in the day, I always say to people that now it's trendy to be gay. Back in the day, it wasn't
Right.
trendy to be gay, right? So
Right.
there was less opportunity for us to be mainstream, if you will, right? We
Out. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
out and visible and proud.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think at my journey, thankfully, I have a great, supportive family, great group of friends. And I have found the things that I was most fearful about in terms of expression, even just in my day to day, wearing the silk poncho or wearing some booties. Those are the things that people seem to celebrate and think are like cool. And I'm not even necessarily doing it for that. I'm just like,
right.
this is who I am. This is how I want to do myself, express myself. And so I think some of the things we fear the most maybe about ourselves, when we embrace them and try to channel it into something, is when we really gain our true self, authentic self,
Yeah.
power, all of that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So okay, so what I mean, you mentioned that you kind of done drag, quasi drag as you kind of grew up and stuff because were theatrical and wore costumes. But as far as doing full on drag, what has surprised you about doing drag versus what your expectations were before you really started?
Right. It is so hard. Um, it takes a team. And, I only do it from time to time occasionally. So I really applaud people who have turned this into a living, who do it full time, because you have to eat, breathe, sleep, and love it. It's a hard life, but it's a very fulfilling one, I would say. And for me, I'm still very much a work in progress when it comes to this. I can't really sew. I don't really beat my face. I have friends and other queens who help bring all of this together. And it takes so much talent and patience and practice to do all of that. It seems real easy and it looks easy, but it's kind of like what they say about shoes. The better the look, the more they hurt,
Yeah,
probably the harder it is. And I
yeah.
would say that's true. And on a funny note, walking in heels it hurts a little bit,
Girl, let me
especially
tell
for
you.
right. For me too, I'm a big girl, so I have to have a chunk or a wedge or a boot. And my favorite thing about the virtual drag right now is I am wearing socks, and that is it.
I love
And
it.
it's so much more comfortable.
I love it. Well, you probably do better on heels than I do, because I'm a butch girl, and so heels and I have never really formed a successful beneficial relationship. So when they say women in comfortable shoes, my picture's right there in the dictionary as a woman in comfortable shoes. So as a matter of fact, for years I had a skirt. I got rid of all my skirts, and then I had one skirt that I called my emergency skirt. And then I realized there was no emergency that would ever happen in my life that would require me to wear a skirt. And so while you were starting to wear skirts, this girl was emptying her closet of the skirts. So
How
that's
funny.
all I'm saying. So, well, I realized that I'm sure you're a big fan of Linda Simpson because Linda's who who's kind of giving you the shot at the bingo and all of that stuff. But I'm real curious. Do you have kind of a favorite drag queen Either one we would know or one we would not, either a nationally famous one or a local one, or more than one.
I love all the queens. Of course, I'm a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, so I love a lot of the talent that comes through there. Last night was a big night in the drag community. I mean, for RuPaul, because it was the finale of season 13. So if we're talking about maybe my favorites from this season, that'd be Gottmik and Simone, who won. But I really like some past contestants, Bianca Del Rio, Ginger Minge, Bob the drag queen, but there's so much more talent too than just what you see on those shows. There's so many great queens on Instagram. I've actually met some queens, through Linda Loves Bingo who are performing on that too,
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
amazing. And then even the local queens here in Oklahoma City, there's so many to count, but some amazing girls who've been wonderful to me include, Maria Isabel, Renee Hilton, Carmen Devereaux, Vera Ball, and I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. So if you're watching, I apologize. Uh, Miley Tucker. There's so much great local talent,
Yeah.
and I just say, if you support it by watching RuPaul, check it out at the club sometime when it's safe. Tip a queen. They're out there making a living and performing, and there's a lot of queens on my deck of cards that I love.
We a couple years ago we went to, the zoo here in Oklahoma City was having date night at the zoo, and they had gay date night, and they had a drag show, and it was just the best. It was fabulous. I don't remember all the queens that were there, other than Carmen Devereaux, because I got a picture with her. So
She's so lovely. She's
yeah,
she's beat this face a couple times, and it's just amazing. Pad Thai, I forgot Pad Thai too.
I have you seen the show We Are Here? That's got Shane.
I love that
Yes,
show. It's one of those you turn on. I'm like, well, when am I gonna cry this
yeah.
episode?
Eureka
Yes.
O'Hara on there, who's recently come out as non-binary, actually.
Mhm.
But Eureka O'Hara, if I could get them for this Potato Present someday, I would be happy.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I mean the confidence. Yeah, I mean talk about some and from a little bitty town,
Right.
the bravery. So anyway, I digress, I know. So okay, so we're gonna kind of veer off of the drag talk for a bit, and then kind of just talk about my last kind of couple of questions. What is your favorite book right now, and why?
I I need to read more, Potato.
Oh, I can help
I
you with
have
that.
a I
I can
have
help
a
you with
whole
that.
stack of books in my bedside drawer that are just waiting for to be
It can be
read.
your favorite book as a child. It could be a favorite magazine. It doesn't matter to me. I just
Sure, well, I'll tell you one of my favorite magazines is Flaunt magazine. It's like a coffee table magazine, lots
uh-huh.
of editorial pictures, and they're usually pushing actors and talent outside of their comfort zone a little bit with their
Yeah.
more high concept photography. I'll say one of the last good books I read was actually Call Me by Your Name, which we know was made into a film. And I had seen the film previously before reading the book. And a friend of mine was like, you really need to read this book because for me personally, watching it, I had a lot of questions about the relationship and the dynamic that I didn't take fully from the subtle performances.
Right.
And so when I read the book, it enriched those characters a lot more. It ends a little differently too, which I think they're actually making a sequel that addresses this. And so it was one of those books. I got to the last few pages and I like threw the book across the room because like there's this thing that happens and it was like ah. And so that's the last time I had an emotional reaction
Right. Right.
to reading something. So
I that book is on my I have not read that book. It is on my to read list. I also haven't seen the movie, primarily because I haven't read the book. So I always want to read the book before I see the movie, being I am more of a book person than a film
right,
person. So I wanted to read it, but I believe there's a sequel. I believe there's a
yes.
sequel to the book. So anyway, so I'm going to do that. And for those of you watching, just as a reminder, We have a in the bio for the Potato Reads. We have a little bookshop, and it's got a bunch of curated book lists, and one of those lists is who the Potato Reads presents guests, what books they're reading, and so there's a list there. You can see what all of our guests are recommending. So we're going to add "Call Me by Your Name" to that.
Awesome.
So okay, so what's your? I know that you're a big film person, so tell me what your favorite film is right now and why.
I can definitely answer that question. Sunday's actually the Academy Award, so I'll focus my answer more in that realm of things. But I have two films that I was like, damn, those were good. The first is Minari, and it's actually a movie that was made in Oklahoma, which is
Yeah.
where Potato and I are
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful movie. I highly recommend it. It's about a Korean family working on a farm in the 80s, kind of chasing the American dream. And it's such a beautifully done universal tale, very timely right now. And then another film I surprisingly really enjoyed, I went into it not knowing anything, was The Trial of the Chicago Seven.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So good. It's on Netflix right now. It's from Aaron Sorkin, who did Newsroom and what was the other one? Oh, West Wing.
Yes.
Neither of which I couldn't get into Newsroom. It was too intelligent for me, or I didn't have a understanding of all the historical events it was covering. So I couldn't really get into that. And I just didn't get on board with West Wing. But the Trial of the Chicago Seven, I had no idea what it was about. It kind of dove you right into the history of this situation, and it's a pretty big event, lots of perspectives, and it just unfolded in a way that was really digestible, really entertaining, while also telling a very important story. And it was one of those movies I had to afterwards like look up and be like, wow, this really happened, and is this how it actually did? And it did. And
Yeah.
so, given all of the social unrest of the last year and where America and kind of the world is politically, super timely movie and super eye opening into where we are today.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, both of those are on my list. Minari in particular, I know is being shown. I don't know by the time this airs, I don't know if it'll still be shown in a bunch of local theaters, but I know that Tower Theater is showing it. And for those of you watching who are Walking Dead fans, the lead character is played by Stephen Yoon, who played Glenn in the early seasons of The Walking Dead. One of my fave actors, and from what I understand, he did a beautiful job.
he's
Uh,
awesome in it. He's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. So Minari and Trial of the Chicago Seven.
Yes.
People, you need to watch it. Just watch it tonight. As soon as you're done with this, watch it.
Yes. Now.
If it's Saturday, do virtual bingo first. If
Yes.
when you're
And then
watching this,
movie.
and then watch the movie. So,
Yes.
okay. So here's our last question before I let you go. Be the
Okay.
bingo queen that you are. Um, and so, what do you see is your purpose in life?
That is such a
Big
crazy
question.
question to be. I mean, and it's a great question. It's one that I think makes me stop in their tracks and really think like, whoa, what is my purpose? And I think it's good to think about, stop and think about it for a minute. I think to kind of reference a little bit about what I said earlier, I hope the goal for most people is to leave the world better than they found it. That's my goal. Like I'm so again very blessed and fortunate to have amazing family, friends, and a great career. And I just want to, I think, honor those things by putting as much love and joy and hard work into everything I do. Again, with the message of living an authentic life, not being afraid to be yourself. And so many people before me have said this, and it's going to be redundant, but like the minute I embraced everything that kind of held me back is the minute I stepped forward. And that is a constant, you have to remind yourself of that
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
because I have some inner, voices that like to kind of be like, are you sure? Do you really think you can do that? And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, people meditate, people do other things. Whatever you have to do to keep putting yourself out there and bringing the best, that's what the world needs. So that's my
I
purpose.
love it. I love it. And you know what? I think it's all about living intentionally, right?
Absolutely.
Choosing what you spend your time on, what you read. Just choosing instead of having life happen to you, living intentionally. I think for me, once I decided to do that, it really kind of changed everything for me. Even the shit that happens in life is easier to take when you know you're living your life intentionally. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There's gonna be shit. And something that someone once said to me that stuck with me to maybe put it in a package with a bow is, I was concerned about acting, and I was telling this professor, I was kind of conveying my fears to her, like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna be able to act? And she looked at me point blank and said, everyone I know who wants to act finds a way to act. And if you really want it, you'll find a way. And for me, this has been a lot of it, and I'm
Yeah,
thankful that I, made that choice.
I
So
love it.
find a way, whatever you're wanting to do. If you want to do it, you'll find a way to do it.
I love it. Words of
Mhm.
wisdom
Yeah,
from Miss Bouquet here
you
in
didn't know you were gonna get all this
I'm
today.
telling you what, we're all wiser people for having listened to your explanation of your purpose in life. And
Well, thank you.
if we have a dream, if you have a dream and you want to do it, you'll find a way to do it.
Absolutely. It may not be exactly what you put on paper, but it may be something else beautiful and exciting and unexpected.
And
So
authentic, right? Because
exactly,
it's who you are,
exactly.
and there's no greater comfort than authenticity, as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, gosh, thank you so much for coming on and visiting with us. This has been really fun.
I had so much fun, and I'm craving French fries all of a
Oh,
sudden.
that's funny. Well, maybe you have time. I rush over there with some French fries, but it could be my relatives, and
I
so
don't know. Is it bad? Do you feel like I'm eating your brothers or
so
sisters?
long as you're not gnawing on me, I guess it's
Okay, you're
okay. But
safe. You're in the ground.
I
You're
just probably
good.
feel like I need to check on the people I love. Uh,
Okay, I won't eat no potatoes.
so thank you so much for coming on, and I feel like we might be able to do something about having you do some reading to us in the future. So we're
Let me
gonna
know.
be talking about that offline. So
Sounds like a plan.
thank you so much, Bouquet,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
and we will talk soon. Thank you all for coming out for Potato Presents, and we will see you next time. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Um, yeah, it was really good. It
It
was
looks
really
like it's
good.
still recording.